Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, picture this. Imagine walking into the largest, absolute most chaotic library in the entire universe. We're talking books piled all the way to the ceiling, loose pages just fluttering everywhere through the air, and literally no signs to tell you where anything is. Well, that is exactly what planet Earth looks like when you look at the raw, unfiltered variety of living organisms around us. Today, we're going on a bit of a journey to explore exactly how scientists took that overflowing, beautiful chaos and organized it into a neat, perfectly structured system. 1.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. To put that into perspective, that's 1.7 to 1.8 million species that have been officially identified and described by scientists so far. And the crazy part? That's just what we know about right now. New species are continuously being discovered every single day, everywhere from the pitch-black bottom of the deepest oceans all the way up to the canopy of the highest rainforests, and even hanging out in boiling hot springs. This incredible, overwhelming variety of life is the whole shebang of what we call biodiversity. So, with a number that massive, the obvious question, well, the $1.8 million question really, is how on earth do we keep track of it all? If you have nearly 2 million unique organisms, plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, how do you prevent total scientific chaos? If a scientist in Japan discovers a brand new bird, how do they make absolutely sure a scientist in Brazil knows exactly which bird they're talking about? That right there is the ultimate problem of categorization that we're unpacking today. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, naming the natural world. Second, taxonomy versus systematics. Third, the taxonomic hierarchy. And finally, we'll wrap up with the classification cheat sheet. Section 1. Naming the natural world. Historically, local names caused massive global confusion. A bird in Japan might have a completely different name in a village in Brazil. It was like a giant game of telephone. The solution to this mess is something called binomial nomenclature. Bi meaning two and nomen meaning name. It's basically the system of giving every single organism a standardized two-word scientific name. We literally have a brilliant scientist named Carolus Linnaeus to thank for introducing this internationally accepted rulebook, ensuring that every organism gets one and only one unique scientific name worldwide. Linnaeus created this super clear step-by-step process for universal scientific communication, and it's pretty foolproof. First, these biological names are Latinized to give everyone a neutral historical baseline. Second, they are italicized when printed out or underlined when written by hand. Third, the first word, which is the genus, always starts with a capital letter. And fourth, the specific species name that follows always starts with a lowercase letter. Simple, right? Now, what's really interesting about this is how it actually looks in practice. Take the humble mango. Its scientific name is Mangofera indica. You've got the capital M for the genus Mangofera and the lowercase I for the species Indica. But notice that little lin tacked onto the very end there. That actually indicates Carolus Linnaeus himself was the first person to scientifically describe and name the mango species. It's kind of like an artist signing their masterpiece. Section 2, taxonomy versus systematics. Okay, so now that we know how to name organisms, how do we actively group them? Well, modern taxonomy is incredibly rigorous. Scientists aren't just judging a book by its cover or looking at an organism's external features anymore. To properly categorize something today, they analyze its internal structure, its cellular makeup, how it develops, and even its ecological interactions. Things like where it lives and exactly how it interacts with its environment. But there is a broader field of study to consider here. While taxonomy focuses on the immediate naming and grouping, systematics takes all of that and adds a really crucial ingredient: evolutionary relationships. The word itself comes from the Latin word systema, meaning the systematic arrangement of organisms. So if you think of taxonomy as building the groups, systematics is what traces the deep evolutionary family tree connecting all those groups together through time. Section 3, the taxonomic hierarchy. All right, think back to that giant cosmic filing cabinet analogy. The literal folders and subfolders within our biological filing system are called taxa. A single category or rank? That's a taxon. So whether we are talking about a massive sweeping category like all animals or a highly specific one like wheat, these are all taxa at different distinct levels of our hierarchy. Let's start at the very bottom of this hierarchy, the most specific individual document you can find in our filing cabinet: the species. A species is the absolute basic unit of classification. It represents a group of organisms that share fundamental similarities and, crucially, are capable of interbreeding. For us humans, that's Homo sapiens. For the potato, it's Solanum tuberosum. This is the lowest, most specific taxonomic category there is. Stepping up just one level, we group closely related species into a genus. For instance, we have Panthera leo, the lion, and Panthera tigris, the tiger. Now, obviously, they are distinct species, but they share so many fundamental core similarities that they are grouped right into the same generic folder, the genus Panthera. Moving one step further up, we take related genera and group them into a family. It's super important to note here that as we climb higher up this hierarchy, the number of shared similarities between the organisms actually starts to decrease. For example, the roaring cats in genus Panthera are grouped with the purring cats in genus Felis. Together, they form the broader family Felidae. They're all cats, sure, but the differences are definitely getting wider. Dogs, just for comparison, sit over in a completely separate family called Canidae. Let's move up again and see how this builds into even broader categories, order and class. An order groups related families. So our cat family and our dog family, they're grouped together into the order Carnivora. Then, a class groups related orders, bringing carnivora together with primates, which includes monkeys, gorillas, and yep, us humans, sweeping all of us into the class Mammalia. Finally, we reach the giant heavy-duty drawers of our cosmic filing cabinet, phylum and kingdom. A phylum groups related classes together. For instance, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals all belong to the phylum Chordata. Quick side note though, for plants, scientists actually use the term division instead of phylum. And at the very top, we have the highest taxonomic category, the kingdom. This is where all animals reside together in kingdom Animalia and all plants in kingdom Plantae. Up at this level, organisms share very few common characteristics, but they all belong to the same massive branch of life. Section 4, the classification cheat sheet. This is the ultimate payoff right here. It is just so cool to see the true elegance of taxonomy in action. A human, a housefly, a mango, and some wheat are systematically filed away using the exact same hierarchical logic. For a human, you can trace it from genus Homo up to family Hominidae, order Primata, class Mammalia, and phylum Chordata. For the housefly, it goes from the specific genus Musca up through the order Diptera and into the class Insecta. From a specific genus up to a phylum or division, every single one of those 1.8 million identified species has a specific designated address in this framework. You know, classification isn't just some static, dusty list. It's a living, breathing framework. With 1.8 million species properly filed away using Linnaeus' system and brand new organisms being discovered and identified every single day, how will our cosmic filing cabinet evolve tomorrow? What completely new branches of the tree of life are waiting out there in the deep oceans or dense rainforests right now, just waiting to be understood? Thank you so much for exploring the library of life and this explainer. Keep wondering and keep learning.